I don't know if you're like me, but reading greens and putting has been a bit of a mystery rather than a science. So I wanted to learn how to read greens better. The 3M Open is in town here in Minnesota. We buzzed over right next door to Victory Links. We're here with Ralph Bauer. He works with a bunch of great tour players. They know how to putt, and he's going to show us exactly what he's teaching them today. Let's get into it. Ralph, what do you do? What are you doing here at the 3M?
So first of all, thanks for having me out.
Yeah.
I'm at the 3M. The course is awesome. The greens are awesome. I got 4 players in the field. You know, I'm a golf coach, just trying to, help them play better golf.
Let's dive in. Like, how do
Let's
we do this?
So
what do we do?
Good news is you already like putting mirrors, so we do have to get good at straight putts.
Okay.
So if we can make 6-footers, on a straight putt, and then we're good at green reading, we're doing pretty well.
Okay.
Right. So let's
hit this.
I saw your recent post here on the fact that you like mirrors. I thought I'd bring one out with me here.
Perfect.
And I did watch you roll a few earlier. You got a nice little stroke here. So we've got just a 5-foot straight putt here, and we want to make this. And then if you think about it, when we're golfing, we basically want to turn every putt into a straight putt. So if we read the green properly, right?
Yep.
Know where to aim it, hit it there. We'll let gravity be our friend instead of fighting it, right? So let's make some straight putts.
Okay. So this is the core competency. You need every golfer to be able to hit the ball on line. Yeah,
if you can make 5-footers on a a straight putt, you're going to be there's no reason why you can't be a very, very good putter. Okay. Right. So first of all, a little golf clap for you there. I'll just for the record, that was a first taker. I knew there was a first taker on this album somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was good. Golf instruction as a whole is based on improving our stroke.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
I got a quick little stat here I'm going to throw out at you. I saw a study on that, and I've done similar type of research. But the average PGA Tour player, again, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
But from 12 feet, based on their start line control, they're going to make 90% of their putts.
Okay.
Very high percentage.
Yep.
So if you put them in a controlled environment, 12-footer, start line, they're going to make, so they're going to miss 10% of their putts based on their start line. It's going to be a little off. Okay. Right? The make percentage on the PGA Tour from 12 feet, any guesses?
It's got to be like, what, 35%?
It's 30. Good guess.
30.
So it's 30%. So there's a 60% difference in the make percentage that's not start line control.
So the factors are green reading, that's
speed,
it, right? And speed. Okay. Let's look at this putt. Let's go take a look at the putt.
So we've got a 9-footer over here. Greens aren't flat. So what we need to be able to do is to be able to recognize the slope that we're on, or that we're putting over. Yep. And we have to know how to predict what that slope is going to do to the break. What affects the break is the speed of the greens. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Yep. Faster greens break more or less.
More.
Exactly. Here's a cool thing. Every stimp is 10% more break or more or less break. Yeah. And then the more slope, breaks more. Okay. Right? So pretty common in golf to talk about percent of slopes. Okay. I got a simple way of thinking about that. I have a few ways to recognize that. Here's a pretty simple one. We typically are going to see 1, 2, 3, 4% slopes on greens. Yeah. 4% is a bad place for a pin. A 1% is barely perceptible. Yeah. And we all watch PGA Tour events. They're typically on like a 1.5. Okay. Right. So we're going to see a lot of 1s, 2s, and 3s. So to recognize slopes, at first might seem scary, but I mean that's just an easy thing. It's like, is anybody going to get fired for this pin? No. Okay, it's not a 4. Yeah. Can I perceive it? Yes. Okay, it's not it's not more than a 1. So you're narrowing it down pretty good there. So the break is important. Up and downhill is important too, although not as important. Uphill putt, more or less break.
Less break.
There you go. Look at you.
I did it.
Downhill putt.
Answering questions.
Downhill putt.
More break.
Oh my gosh. And then the length of putt, right? Okay. So if I've got, if I've got a putt here, and I've got a putt here, and this is the same slope, this putt is going to break more than that putt. So all we really need to do is to know how long our putt is. Okay. Is that pretty manageable?
I can do that.
Yeah. We need to be able to recognize slopes. I've got some really cool tips that are, I've never seen it, like they're pretty sick, not gonna lie, on how to, I spent a lot of time in my life on helping people make more breaking putts. Okay. Right? And so, I mean, we're gonna talk about how to recognize slopes, and then we're gonna talk about how to adjust those slopes.
Okay. So what we've talked about so far is I need to know the speed of the green as well, right? So everyone, you got to come into this situation knowing that, which you've obviously developed skill of that over time, right? How would I develop that skill?
So that's a good question. And then kind of an easy answer for that is the average golf course is about a 10 stimp, right? And then if we've got a little chart in the app, you know, we've watched the Masters. The Masters is like a 13 stimp, right? We've maybe played in club championships. Club championships, they're going to speed the greens up. They're going to maybe be an 11. We've all played in this time of the year in the spring. You know, when the greens are a little slower, you know, they'll typically be at like a 9. And again, if we're off by a little bit on that, that's just a small percentage, right? So and by the way, like the greens change. So we might be like, okay, we've got a system. It's 10 stimp. We're gonna go with that. The greens stay. It's a beautiful day out. Greens bake out. By the end of the day, they could be 11 and a half, 12. Right? Because it's a living surface we're putting on. I just pick a putt with 10 inches of break. On a 10 stimp. If it breaks 11 inches, guess what? It broke 10% more. What stimp is it?
It's an 11.
It's an 11. If it breaks 9 inches,
it's a 9.
I mean, am I the guest or are you the guest? Like, what's going on here? This is unbelievable. I
don't know what's going on.
Right, you're on a roll. So, how we can best perceive the slope. So I tested 100 people, and 90 of them could best perceive the slope. Think about it like a triangle. I'm looking uphill, halfway between the ball and the hole. If I went to the other side, it would appear on average 25% flatter. Now, do you want to go do a complete 360 and see different perceptions of the slope and get confused?
Well, traditionally, that's what I've been taught to do, right? You gotta get all the angles, right? I gotta go back here, over there, over there, over there.
So if I'm seeing this slope here, and you forget about golf, just as a human, if I'm looking uphill, that's gonna be the best perspective I have to judge the slope. If I go over here and look downhill, right, this is gonna appear, and you know, I get goosebumps showing this to people. This is gonna appear 25% flatter on average. So coming over here is gonna give us very, very different perceptions of this slope. So here's a cool trick, right? So stand right in the middle. So look 1 foot higher and then 1 foot lower. What's higher, this or this?
That's higher.
And if you're struggling with it, look 3 feet. So what's higher, that or that? That's considerably higher, right? So then you can just go down the line a couple times and go, what's higher, that or that? So we've got a 9-footer here. We've already said the green speed is 10. So I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna come up 2/3 the way to the hole. You wanna come over a little closer? I'm gonna tap on that.
Cal.
It's gonna give me a percent of slope is 3%. Okay, are you with me on that? So for this putt here, we're gonna aim this 14 inches left of the center of the hole. Now, do you want to have a go at this and aim at 14 inches? By the way, we also need to know what 14 inches looks like.
I was gonna say, like, I think it's, my guess would be 14 inches is like
there. Kind of an easy way to think about it is measure your shoe. Like, you're always gonna have your shoe with you, right? You are, and your putter. So if you know what your shoe is from the center of the hole.
From the center of the hole, okay, that's a good point
and
too,
I just visualize it. The system's from the center of the hole.
So like, maybe a little bit farther than that. I'm aiming at your putter.
Perfect.
There, right? Let's see, and a foot past. That's my speed.
Okay, so good point there, right? So how far past did that go?
It went farther.
Right? So at 12 inches past, how do you feel that would have been?
I think it would have been pretty good. It would have been more pretty good. Dead weight. I don't know. Is that the? All right, here we go.
Again, pretty awesome. 2 feet past. 1 foot past. That's in. Are you with me on that?
Yep.
Okay. So speed's important too, and we can talk about that. I don't want this to be a trick you can impress your friends with. I want you to go to the golf course and make more putts. So we've got 3 steps to this. The first step is putting it down so you're getting a feel for how much putts break. Now I've got this thing called hide tour read. Okay, so come a little closer here. So let's change this putt up a bit, change the angle up a bit here, and we'll come from here. So now what we're gonna do, again, we wanna pick 2/3 of the way to the hole. Because that as the putt slows down, the break is more important. Right? So if we're only gonna take 1 read, we wanna do it closer to the hole. 2/3 is a good number. No point in doing it over here because the ball's going pretty fast and it's gonna break. Less. There you go. Okay, so I'm gonna tap this down here It's going to give me a percent of slope.
Okay.
And it's not going to give me the answer. It's number of paces times 2 minus 1.
Number of paces times 2 minus 1.
So how many paces is that?
Is it 4?
4.
4. Okay, 4 times 2 is 8.
Yeah.
Minus 1 is 7.
Okay, so what that gives you is the number of inches this putt will break from the center of the hole on a 1% slope.
So 7 inches on a 1% slope.
Yeah.
And then do you just times that by 2 for each?
Yeah, and that's all in there, right?
Okay.
Right, but then that's going to give you a good starting point.
Yeah.
And then we've got a system to judge the up to down and how to deal with half percents and all that. That's super simple.
Got it. Okay, so we're using that to train and we're learning that.
Yeah.
Then when we take it to the course, you're saying work on this 1% concept then.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And then the final piece is going to be our speed.
Okay.
So you also have to understand what a clock looks like.
Okay.
How familiar are you with a clock?
I can handle that.
Okay.
I can handle a
so
clock system.
we're gonna put this over the cup here.
Okay.
Right? And what we want to do, because we want to match up our line and our speed.
Okay.
So what we want to do is if we know that putt was breaking 14 inches, let's say, we want to think about where that putt's going to be entering the hole.
Huh. Why is that? Why do we stack this on top of the other stuff?
Because that's going to be the final piece to help us match our line and our speed.
Okay.
Because what that's going to do, if we have to think about where it's entering the hole, it's going to essentially force us to visualize the putt going at the proper speed.
So we want to, the next step is we want to visualize the whole line of the line of the putt.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
We want to think about where it's going to be aimed.
Okay.
And then we want to think about where it's going to be entering the hole.
Okay.
And then we want to build a stroke to react to that.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do here, because we changed this, remember?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pop this down. So this putt's going to be 16 inches left. So it's going to be over here.
Okay.
Now where would you see that entering the hole?
8 and 7 between there.
Yeah, so maybe 730?
Yeah.
So if I was caddying for you, right, I'd say, okay, it's going to be pretty fast here. I would see it going at least 8.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, yep.
And then I want you to take a practice stroke, hold your finish position, visualize that. Do that again and spend a little bit more time visualizing that. Did you see it entering around 8 o'clock?
No, I'm too focused on my start line.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about my target.
So have you ever heard the expression, wow, I fell in love with my start line in that one?
Yeah.
I fell in love with that.
Yeah.
We need to blend both.
Okay.
Right? So if you just have your start line, I'm going to pick on you here a bit.
Yeah.
You know, when you hit those other putts,
Yeah.
start lines were great.
Yeah.
Aim was great. Read was great. Speed, not great.
Was
Does that
a
make
mixed
sense?
bag. Yeah.
A mixed bag.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
3.5.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
let's call it 4. That's pretty close to 4. Let's call it 4.
Okay, so 4 times 2 is 8.
Minus 1, 7.
Minus 1 is 7. So
and
that's
then,
1%.
Yeah. And then if this is 1, right? This is 2, that's 3.
Yeah.
This is about a 3, right? And now we want, so now we know we're aiming it here.
Yeah.
So go ahead and aim your putter here.
Okay.
And now I want you to switch your focus to speed.
Okay.
And where it's going to be entering that hole.
Okay. No, it's too soft. Gosh, it's close though.
Pretty close though.
It's pretty close. I mean, it would have gone right there.
Yeah, this is a super challenging putt. Do you know what I mean?
It's not easy.
Downhill slider 3% slopes are tough.
Yeah.
However, that took essentially no time to read properly.
Right.
And gives us our best opportunity for speed if we start thinking about how it enters the hole. We're going to be aiming it here. And if that's our aim, if that's where we're going to be starting our line, we want to think about where that's going to be entering the hole.
Okay, so if I
was caddying for you, what's the biggest tournament you're playing?
Playing in US Mid-Am qualifier.
Okay, so if I was caddying for you in US Mid-Am qualifier, I would do the math on that, and that'd tell you where it's aiming, where it's going to be entering the hole.
Got it. So on this one, like if I was guessing, so I'm aiming here, like you said, right? It's got to come in here.
Yeah, 730.
Closer
to maybe closer to 8.
Yep.
So somewhere in here. So now if we're hitting our putt, right? We can come back here. We can take our practice strokes and we can visualize it starting where we determined it was. But then we want to think about the putt as a whole and how it's going to be entering the hole.
Question for you, and I've always wondered this. So I try to do that. when I'm putting good, I typically am visualizing a putt when I'm kneeling behind it, and I'm kind of seeing it. I'm seeing the red line.
Yep.
And I see that red line as it goes across. Do you like that, and do you continue that on? Because it sounds like you're still doing that here. We're still seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had great putters on tour who, every great putter I've worked with on tour has invested 3 or 4 seconds in their routine to visualizing it going the hole in real time.
Okay.
I haven't seen a difference between doing it from behind or doing it over it.
Okay.
But they've all invested 3 or 4 seconds in the visualization process.
Okay.
And it's funny you mention that when you're putting well, you do that.
Yeah.
We all tend to do that when we're putting well. Sometimes we just have to think back on what we did when we were putting well.
Yeah.
And just do that more often. It's typically a good,
Isn't that the
good
truth?
strategy.
Isn't that the truth? Gosh. All right, let's do another putt, Ralph. Let's do the math on one more.
Okay, so we had like a 5-pace putt.
So this is from the low spot up to the...
So always trust your eyes looking uphill.
Okay.
So we were looking downhill. So why don't you go back there, take a quick peek, and what do you see from there?
It looks like it's going to touch this way, maybe.
Yeah, so maybe it's going a little left. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Okay, so, and again, are we going to trust our uphill look or a downhill look?
We're going to trust our uphill look.
Right, so we're going to have to cheat out to the right a little bit on this one.
Okay.
I always think if we're thinking about percentage slopes, if you have a hunch it's going one way, call that a 0.5.
Okay.
All right? So how many paces did I have here?
You had 5.
5. So I'm going to aim this 4.5 inches from the center of the hole.
Walk me through that. How do we get there?
So use a quick little formula. So how many paces was it?
It's 5.
Times 2 is?
10.
Minus 1.
9.
9. That's for 1% slope.
You think it's a half, let's say 0.5%.
0.5% is kind of a hunch. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's going to be 4.5 inches.
Got it.
From the center of the hole.
Okay. You like a line? You have your players put a line on the ball?
Yeah, I love lines. They're legal.
Yeah.
They help everyone.
Like long putts and short putts? Long and short putts?
Every putt you want to hit well.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right.
I would think if you got a putt you're trying to hit well, you might as well go through the same process on everything.
There it is. Oh.
So here's a good learning point. So we thought that was a 0.5. First of all, your read from below the hole was better.
Okay.
Right? We thought it was a 0.5. You missed it. What does it tell us?
It might have been slightly more than 0.5. But it's now pretty close.
Pretty close. However, if we could hit our putt and then automatically default to rejudging the percent of slope, we're going to get very, very good at this very, very quickly.
That's right.
If we think we pulled that putt, how's our confidence going to be on the second hole?
Not good.
Not good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's a great way to keep learning, right, how to read greens rather than going to the first hole guessing, missing, going to the second hole guessing, maybe making it, and just playing a guessing game.
Love it. All right, Ralph, this is a longer putt. There's more going on here. We got a slope here. There's something going on up there. I mean, same system. What are we doing?
Yeah, so I mean, golf's fun, right? Greens are crazy.
They are.
You're never going to get a putt of any length that's only got one slope to it, right?
Yep.
So everybody asking you about multiple breakers, right? So this is a 12. We pace this off. It's 12 paces, right?
Yep.
So it's like a 36-foot putt. So I'm going to come here halfway between the ball and the hole,
yeah, and
I'm going to think about this putt holistically.
Okay.
So we got a lot going on at the start. It's downhill.
Yeah.
Quite a big break to this over here, right?
Yep.
Let's call this a 3% slope.
3% down and
3% left to right. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is a pretty big slope left to right.
Okay.
And we'll call this a 1, right? So let's say the first half is a 3, second half is like
still a 1 going.
Yeah,
this
it's like
way.
a 1 going that way.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you on the spot here. 3 and a 1. What's the average?
2.
Yeah, that's what most people would say. Unfortunately, for the first time today, you're wrong.
Oh no.
So
cut this.
Remember,
from the video.
we want to overweight the second half of the putt.
Okay.
Because up there the ball's gonna be going pretty fast.
That's right.
So we want to overweight this. So it wouldn't actually be a 2. It'd be more like a 1.5.
Okay.
Right. So it's like 12 paces. Right.
Because you're saying the last 2/3 of every putt is the most important.
Correct.
Part.
Correct. Okay. Right. So where you're standing is going to be the most important putt, because as the ball slows down,
yep,
the slope is going to affect it much, much more.
Okay. So you're saying 1.5 is probably going to be our slope.
Yeah, here. And that's a good place to start from. So let's go back there.
Okay.
Right. 1.5 is 12 paces.
Times 2 is 24.
Yeah.
Minus 1 is 23.
Yeah.
So that would be 1% is 23 inches. We got to go a touch more.
Yeah, so we're going to go in here.
Okay.
How does that look to you?
It looks under read. Probably because I'm staring at this.
I know.
This here slope.
Because I feel
right
like
here.
you're being tricked by what the slope you're standing on.
Sure.
Not what the putt's actually going to be rolling over.
Got it.
Go ahead and feel confident with this. Go ahead, aim it here, go through your routine, hit your putt.
Whew.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
Right?
Not bad at all.
I mean, when it's halfway there, I thought, holy, we got one for the record books here, right? So very, very good putt. Using this system, it's super simple.
Yeah.
That was a very, very difficult putt to read.
Yeah.
We had a lot going on, at least a 4% slope downhill.
Right.
We went over there, we very quickly, came up with the number, hit our putt, and every putt we hit is a learning experience.
You know what I haven't thought about much since we've been talking about this is like uphill and downhill slopes. I don't know, we haven't talked much about that, but like, we've talked about it affects the read. Did you think about that at all? Is that like part of your thought process on this? Because this downhill and then it's, I don't know, flat-ish.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Okay. So again, you can get a little, you can go pretty deep in the weeds on this. Okay. Right. Downhill putts are going to break more.
Yeah.
Uphill putts are going to break less.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What affects this putt that we just hit though? Do you think that plays an impact like when factoring all that out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The putt that we just hit, this is a good example because this is a typical putt, not one in a indoor simulator that's perfectly 2% the entire way.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I film in my house, all the time because I've got one. But pretty steep downhill and then pretty flat.
Yeah. I
didn't factor this in too much because again, it's in the first half of the putt.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's why.
And then it's flat at the end, so we're not going to see an increase in break because of that.
The ball's already going pretty fast to start anyways,
right.
So the downhill part's not going to affect it that much.
Okay.
But
flip the scenario and say we start on a flat and then we're going down. Then it's going to go more. And we got to think about that.
And we got to think about that. It's not that complicated. The amount of slope affects the break.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the up or downhill adjust it slightly.
Yeah. Okay. Ralph, thanks for your time. Where should people go? Just Tour Read app in the App Store? Is that the best spot?
Yeah, Tour Read in the App Store. If you want more information on it, go to our website.
Okay.
Right. If you don't mind reading through a long list of people, of celebrity golfers that love it, then but we've been lucky to have so much success with so many players all over the world.
Yeah.
Of players of all skill levels. So that's the way to do it.
That's awesome. Ralph, thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Peace.